couple in their late teens moves into a house gifted to them by the boyfriend's wealthy family. The house has 2 floors, with the main floor and a basement man cave. The girlfriend suffers from insomnia, while the boyfriend is a busy college student and athlete. The girlfriend starts experiencing strange occurrences in the house, including doors opening on their own and footsteps. She seeks comfort in her mother's house and later decides to get a dog named Lucy. One day, while home alone with Lucy, the girlfriend hears a noise and finds the basement door open. The door repeatedly opens and closes, and Lucy starts barking at it. The girlfriend calls her boyfriend, who ties up the door and rushes home. That night, they hear pounding sounds and find the basement door wide open with claw marks on it. They discover their dog, Lucy, injured and rush her to the vet. Lucy undergoes emergency surgery while the couple stays at the girlfriend's mother's house. They are unsure about the cause of the strange events and fear it may follow them. The past 6 days, we have been staying at my mom's house. I've been extremely paranoid. I jump at any little sound, and even the sounds I've heard in that house since I was a child seem to make me skeptical. I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm afraid that something is latching onto either me or Tyler or even Lucy. Poor Lucy. She's been doing very well in her recovery though. She has to wear a cone, which brings some light humor into our currently rather dark lives. She's been very happy, loving, and cuddly though. I have a feeling she's very glad to be out of that house. I promise to never bring her back. Now, a few things have happened. We got some storms a few nights ago and the power went out. We took our flashlights and put new batteries in, and the batteries lasted about 5 minutes before dying in both flashlights at the same time. It was weird, but we figured we just must have bought some defective batteries, or maybe they weren't compatible with the flashlights or something. We tried them in other flashlights and other battery-operated things, but they were definitely dead. We also put the last few batteries in one of the flashlights, and those ones still haven't died after using the flashlight that night and periodically checking out of curiosity. Also, soon after the flashlights went out, a few picture frames got knocked off a shelf in the same room. I know that it is said that spirits can get energy from electronics and other things similar, but it happened pretty soon in relation to a loud boom of thunder, so we assumed that was why they fell. Then on Wednesday, I thought I heard a whisper in my ear while I was trying to fall asleep. It was probably just Tyler, sighing in his sleep, but I swear it said my name. On Thursday morning, I was making myself breakfast and I felt something tug on my shirt. I thought it got caught on a drawer or cupboard door handle, but when I turned my head, my shirt wasn't caught on anything. I figured it just came uncaught. Aside from that, nothing unusual happened in my mom's house. Although, today I had the day off and decided to go to a local psychic just to see what she had to say. I'm not really into the psychic stuff, but I've had a lot of recommendations and I'm always hearing great things about her. So I got to her house. Her little room that she does psychic readings in is in what used to be a garage, but you'd never know from the inside, and knocked on the door. She posts her available times online, so I knew she was free at the time. She opened the door and her face went pale. She told me that I couldn't come in. I was bringing evil spirits with me and she could not help me. She started mumbling a chant and gave me sage, salt, and matches. She told me that I had to leave immediately and get rid of this demon. I was freaked out. I came back home to tell my mom and we shook salt all around her house and burned the sage inside the house. I emailed another psychic who's a little more famous. He's a pretty well-known psychic. The psychic I emailed replied, a simple but urgent message, "Thank you for contacting me. I, however, cannot do your reading via email. I want to do your reading in person. I think that I can help you. I'll be in the state that I live in next weekend. Please call me to set up a place and time of meeting." And he left his personal phone number. I called him and we planned to meet at the restaurant I work at early next Saturday morning, and he would follow me back to the house. Also, nothing weird has happened since we burned sage and shook salt around my mom's house. Hopefully we have prevented anything to come into her house. We also bought some incense that was infused with sage to keep burning in my mom's house at all times, at least until we rid ourselves of this. Lucy is doing extremely well. She's expected to make a full recovery very quickly. We love her so much and she's become our best friend. We had some local paranormal investigators who came to investigate our house. They did one daytime session and an overnight session. Now for the results of the paranormal investigation. We were allowed to be there for the first 2 hours of investigation, and then they said that we'd have to leave so they could do some of their own things. While we were there, we heard footsteps. The door to the basement opened on its own, as it had before, and we heard a cupboard door creak open and slam shut. They had cameras recording the door from downstairs and upstairs, a view of the whole kitchen, a couple views of the basement, and a view down the hallway. Other than that, they each carried cameras which were recording at all times. While we were gone, they brought in a dog for an hour, who was a pit bull who looked similar to Lucy. They also did EVP, electronic voice phenomena, sessions, and some other things that we're not so educated about. The results that were caught on camera, the footsteps, door opening, and cupboard door slamming while we were there. The dog couldn't stand to be in the house, which is why she was only in there for an hour. She also barked at the basement door and it slammed shut while she was barking at it. The camera caught the door to the basement opening and closing 9 times. The EVP session was very successful. They asked, "Why are you here?" and it replied, "This is my home." They also caught it saying, "Get out," and, later, "My name." At that point, I was skeptical on my plan to return. It had to have wanted something to do with me. I was afraid that it might be connected to me. And the last and worst thing, it scratched one of the investigators. They were provoking it, so hopefully ignoring whatever it is will make it less violent, but I'm afraid to return. On Sunday, after church hours, we had a priest who specializes in the paranormal and ridding of demons come into our house. He immediately told us that this was something very serious. He could sense that the demon wanted to harm us, specifically me. He said that the reason it attacked Lucy was because it knew we got Lucy to protect me. Now that it has gotten Lucy out of the picture, it will try and target me. It knows that I'm home alone several hours a day, which is usually when it tries to harm me. It's also using its powers to keep Tyler not wanting to be in the house by being most violent when he's around. It's simply scaring me to make me weaker and easier to possess. Although the home is the demon's home, it is trying to take over my body. This kind of talk ensured me that I didn't want to return. However, I had to try. He performed a blessing and told me to keep in contact with him. The house may require more blessings, and to do what I did in my mom's house, salt and sage every day. It would cost some money, but money wasn't a problem. Our well-beings were at risk. On Sunday, we had a priest cleanse and blessed our house. Now on to the first night in the home. After the priest left, we settled back in. We made a nice dinner, watched TV, and went to bed fairly early for us. But when we lay down, I was filled with a sense of fear. Nothing bad had happened, but I was terrified with good reason. I asked Tyler to stay awake until I fell asleep. Of course, he agreed to. I felt bad because I always had problems sleeping. Tonight was no exception. Eventually, a couple hours before we needed to wake up, we both started nodding off until we fell asleep. I got up with him in the morning. We burned sage and salted around the house, and I went to my mom's house to get ready because I still wasn't comfortable being alone in the house. It was a long day of work and I actually fell asleep early. Tyler said that after I fell asleep, he had the small TV in our room on. My mom bought it for us, so we had something to look forward to about being back in the house, and he heard a sound. It sounded like the basement door creaking open and footsteps. He got up and locked the door to our bedroom and turned the TV up so he couldn't hear any other noises while he tried to fall asleep. Now I am afraid to be in the house with a reason again. Morning, the basement door, which we left shut, was wide open. I cried. I don't want to go through this anymore. We called the priest, who very kindly did another blessing for us. He told us to not listen or expect any sounds. If we heard sounds that were unmistakably inexplainable, that they are the sounds of the bad spirits leaving the house, and to not be scared, but be happy. So here we are back in the house. It's about midnight, Tuesday night/Wednesday morning, and we're about to spend another night in the home from hell. I also called the psychic. He said that he assumed the priest would not be enough help. He did say that the priest was helping positively though. He said that we would be safe, at the least, until he gets here. I'm still not sure I'll be able to sleep well until it's completely over. One night, just sitting here with Tyler in our kitchen, we've heard noises that we've been forced to ignore, and I can already tell that it's going to be a rough week.